say to my bride, let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. I have a good friend of mine who is known for being extremely punctual. If he says, I'll be there Tuesday at 2:27 in the afternoon, you can set your watch by his arrival. Now, being punctual certainly has advantages in certain environments. Most folks have had to deal with that teacher that wouldn't let anyone in the class that was late. But in most forms of auto racing, being punctual is likely to mean that the faster guy will beat you. Yet there was one race car driver that quite famously made punctuality a winning strategy. Leon Thery. Leon was born in Paris, France in 1879 into a working-class family. Young Leon was a rather quiet lad that enjoyed tinkering and anything mechanical. At age 14, he began his apprenticeship to become a mechanic with Decauville, working on locomotive engines. But when that company decided to get into the car business, young Leon went as well, wrenching on their early cars. Thery was quite skilled in his profession and also meticulous. He understood every car he worked on, probably as well, if not better than the designer. This prompted his employer to see if he would be as good a race car driver as he was a mechanic. Thus, Leon drove a Decauville Voiturette in the 1898 Paris-Amsterdam-Paris trial. He completed the trial with a respectable time, and so Leon Thery began his racing career. He turned out to be just as meticulous as a driver as he was a mechanic, and so he quickly developed his own style of driving, which was very different from what was typical at the time. His knowledge of the car itself allowed him to know fairly exactly what it could and could not do, as well as how long it will last under constant stress. So he paced his car throughout every race to ensure that he could finish without mechanical failures. Indeed, he earned the nickname the Chronometer due to his constant identical lap times in any given race. Additionally, Leon was quite the advocate of new tire and suspension technology. He was an early supporter of Michelin and raced with their tires exclusively. He worked with the company to quite an extent, using his experience on the track to advise and help improve overall tire design. Now, there's a story often told that right after his first race in 1898, Leon was approached by Andre Michelin, and Leon blurted out, "Here comes Bibendum!" And from that point on, the Michelin man's name has been Bibendum, which basically means time to drink in Latin. Whether that's how it really all came down is debatable, but that still is the mascot's name. Thery continued to race Decauville Voiturettes and Voiturelles through to 1903. His second-place finish at the 1919 Paris-Bordeaux was followed the next year by winning the Coupe des Voiturettes in Paris. He raced his small light Decauville cars across Europe, gaining many class wins and hill climb victories. By 1902, he was well known on the track and had gathered quite the fan base. At the same time, he perfected his racing craft through constant analysis of his machine, the roads, the weather. Any variable that could affect his racing performance, he documented and scrutinized. The ill-fated Paris to Madrid race of 1903 was a turning point in his career. He entered the race, again driving a Decauville Voiturette in the light car class, and was doing well when the carnage began and the race was called off. Leon decided to cease racing light cars and looked for a new race team to join. He ended up with a team from the company Richard Brasier and soon began to race in their cars. And true to form, he studied and documented everything about the car and its performance. And he immediately began to win. His first race with the new team was the Éliminatoires François de la Coupe Internationale in 1904, which he quite handily won. The following month, he raced in the Gordon Bennett Cup, which was one of the most important and prestigious races of the time, which he also won. Leon was now a household name and a hero in France, and indeed, on his return to Paris, he was given a reception in the Élysée Palace by the President of France, Émile Loubet. The Following year, he did it again, taking the last of the Gordon Cup championships. Thery was the most famous driver in the world, and he decided to try to capitalize on it. He founded a company of his own, Thery, to build his vision of the ultimate race car. Unfortunately, he was very undercapitalized and was never able to actually make a production car. Thery gave up on the whole making cars enterprise and returned to the racetrack in 1908, again racing for Brazier. His last race was the 1908 French Grand Prix. He was on the last lap, in fourth place, when a wheel broke in two, and so he was not able to finish the race. Tragically, his life was cut short when he died at age 29 from tuberculosis. Leon Thery influenced a generation of race drivers, Nazzaro, Lancia, Chiron, and others, for he was the man that showed the racing world how to win a race exactly on time. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.